Okay, and so we're back here with Michelle. And Michelle, could I have your full name?
It's Michelle Stanford.
Michelle Stanford, that's right.
Mhm.
Okay, and so I found Michelle on DeviantArt because she has an awesome uh, comic book called what do you call it? You tell me. How do you call it?
Centralia 2050.
Centralia 2050. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
good. Yeah, it's cold here in I'm in New Jersey, and Michelle is on
Other
the
side.
other side, the East Coast, right? Or no, West Coast. Yeah, she's West
West Coast.
Coast, and I'm East Coast. We're like the Crips and the other gangs and all this stuff. Like we're different gangs. This should be like, what do you call it? Like traitors or something, or like spies from the other side and stuff. But it's all
Yes,
good.
sharing information about
Yeah,
comics.
yeah. And actually, your comic is kind of like that, isn't it? It has that kind of feel. Do you think? I think it has. I don't want to say 007, but a little bit of that futuristic sci-fi spy kind of.
It's
There's
definitely got
secretive,
some like dystopian 1984 vibes to
dystopian.
it.
Okay.
Hmm.
Because there's sort of. Is that a peak coat? I wanted to bring up, by the way. Do you know what a peak coat is?
Yes, it is.
I was actually in the Navy, and I used to wear a pea coat.
Oh,
But
nice.
I'm not. Yeah, some people would think, oh, you know what a pea coat is? You must be quite fashionable. No, I had to wear one, actually. So
Well, hey,
unfortunately,
take
I
the
know.
compliment.
Yeah, no, but it's cool because like it goes to show that. I mean, I thought the fact that. Well, let me ask you, why did you put? Why is she in a pea coat? You
Honestly,
just thought
I
it'd be
just
cool.
think they're fashionable.
Yeah, it's cool, right? But it
But
has that. I think it fits with the genre of what you're doing. Kind of like
mm,
a, like I said, there's a. I don't want to call it a spy thing, but like there's a
mm,
mystery kind of feeling to it. Is that
mm.
you do have that edge to it, right? Because
Yeah,
there's
definitely.
something we don't know that gets unraveled, right?
Yes,
Okay,
definitely.
good.
There's a big mystery that is pervasive throughout the story.
Hmm. And I just wanted to shoot off some of these random questions, the natural things that would come to mind at first, such as
Sure.
the name of the book. And I'm going to be showing some stuff on the screen while we're going through this. We're going to show you the cover image and some of the first few pages, I guess, which is okay, yeah.
Yeah.
And then some close-ups maybe on some of the art, and then what is excuse me. What was the inspiring force behind this comic? Or when did it start, too? When did you start working on it?
So it's actually been a project I've been working on for probably about 8 years total. So it is hard to kind of trace back to like the moment that it kind of came together.
Hmm.
The story did go through several transformations before arriving at this kind of final point.
Hmm.
I guess, though, one of the main inspirations was kind of this idea of how our lives are being changed and shaped for better or worse by technological advancements.
Mm.
So it kind of explores the benefits, but also the corruption of
Okay.
that. So that's where it started, and then it kind of evolved into this deeper sort of exploration of searching for your identity, in this kind of rapidly changing world.
And I want to know, like, so wow, it's been a long time, and I wanted to get in
Hmm.
that topic too about the challenges of making comic, because a lot of
Hmm.
people who know me and my channel already, I'm constantly working on comic, and it can be an excruciatingly slow process sometimes. It
Yes.
seems, especially if you want it to be good, because a lot of people who make comics, they care about comics, they read a lot of comics, and they want them to, have a certain level of quality. There are like role models that you had and aspirations and stuff, and so you don't want to burn through it and have a bunch of crappy pages. Or do you? Do you want to just like get through it and then hope that you improve as time goes on? What's your feeling about that?
I think that it's definitely good if you want to get into comics to
Mm.
probably start with some smaller projects. If you're worried about them not being so good at first, then yeah, do do a little bit of experimenting on smaller scale stuff before moving on to like the big epic
Mm.
story.
Okay.
Um,
And so, did you do some of that before?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of always just liked to do comics ever since I was like a little kid.
Mm.
I never really thought of it as a way to like build up to a bigger project at the time. It was just kind of, I've always wanted to tell stories
Mm.
and not much of a writer, so I
Yeah.
just used my drawing skills to communicate my stories visually.
Well, part of my problem with it is like I'm always struggling with the fact that I'm not some. Well, I don't want to name names, but like I guess who's a safe name to say? Because like Jim Lee or like Stan Lee, the creator of Marvel, or some stuff like that, where these guys just bust out hundreds of comic pages a year. They're like constantly working on pages, but they're working as a team. And
Yeah.
with you, I assume you're also doing this single-handedly. It's just you doing all of the work, yeah.
I'm doing the artwork single-handedly, but
hmm
my partner, who is also an artist, he actually is helping me develop the story. I kind of, I came up with the original main idea, but through his help, he's also working on, his own stories. So we kind of work together to, take my ideas and then kind of like expand on them more. Because it's hard to it's really hard to develop an entire story by yourself because
Mm.
you only have your own ideas and thoughts. So
Yeah, and I mean, all great ideas. Yeah, I believe that a lot of writers wouldn't confess to it, but I'm sure that when they're sitting down, like J.R.R. Tolkien, creator
hmm
of The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings, he used to hang out with I don't remember who, and his age group or his era time. It was another very well-known artist or whoever, and they would bounce ideas off each other about The
yeah.
Hobbit and what you could do, and that's what makes
hmm
stories great. And of course,
Yeah.
goes without saying, things like Star Wars and stuff. There's just like collaborations of hundreds of different people working
hmm
together in teams to make up all these crazy little creatures and stuff like that, right? So yeah, having somebody collaborate with, especially if you want it to be a more, a better project, more impressive
hmm
project, the more the
It's just
merrier.
fun. It's fun to, you get like how you were saying about like the naval thing with the peacoats. It's like when you talk to other people and invite them kind of into your world, they bring other perspectives to it that you might have not even thought
Mm,
about. So it's
yeah,
really exciting to collaborate in that way.
cool. Is Centralia your primary artistic focus now, or do you have other things? Do you also like keep yourself busy with I don't know. You tell me. Do you do any other kind of stuff, side projects and whatnot?
Project wise, yes, this is my main focus. I am a storyboard artist as my profession, so I've been mostly doing freelance, but when it comes to like my own work, yeah, Centralia is my primary focus right now.
Okay. What about like little side what do you call it? Just like sketches, doodles, or whatever. You still work on that stuff too, yeah?
Oh yeah. I do some illustrations now and then. I have another project that um I actually came up with before Centralia, but the thing is it's like it's really large, so I'm kind of waiting to finish Centralia first before working on that one.
Okay.
So I guess you could say that is kind of the back burner project that I jump to every now and
Mm,
then.
okay. And you're doing for work. You're also doing some storyboarding and stuff
hmm
like that. You said now.
Yeah,
That
so freelance storyboarding.
that's really cool. Like when I first met Michelle, for the audience I'm talking to here, it was actually on DeviantArt, and she saw some of my pages, and she gave me some really good critique on the pages I was working on. That had some symmetry problems. Really get the feeling that Michelle has a good sense of layouts for, well, what we call storytelling. Now, a lot of the people who don't know, let me just make sure that we're clear on this. When we talk about storytelling in art, what we're talking about is the process of using images, and frequently in panels throughout like a comic book or storyboarding type of style, to convey a story, or it's a succession of images, what I call sequential images, like the website I have now. Do you have any thoughts on that? I mean, did I wrap that up in a good nutshell there, or how do you feel about storytelling in general?
Yeah, I mean, basically, story can take so many forms, but what I'm really focused on is visual storytelling.
Mm,
So yeah, like when it comes to layout or like composition, it's important to think of how can I, set up this image, this shot, this comic panel,
mm.
whichever, to convey the message, the information that I want people to see,
And
the
like the
emotion.
the camera angle too, something that your
hmm
average person can understand, even if they don't do comics. It's like the Well, what would you say the three most important things are? I don't know, like to have a good comic page layout.
I would definitely say that you need to be very conscious of the camera, don't just, you should always think about the camera almost as its own character,
Mm,
and how you want people to feel when they look through that camera's eye.
yeah.
You want to think about the acting of the
Mm,
characters. You want to make
mm,
sure that the story or the point of that image you're seeing comes across in their body language, in their face, and of course, the dialogue. But I guess that's not so much a visual thing.
I think it's really important though, dialogue. Like today, I was just doing some lettering
Mm.
on some of my pages, and it's something. Well, I mean, it's especially for a comic book, it's worth mentioning because if you don't leave proper space for it,
Mm.
then you're gonna ruin
Yes,
the whole page, right?
I've made that
Um,
mistake.
yeah, I mean, it can totally change things because you'd think,
Yeah.
oh, well, maybe since we're using computers nowadays, you just shrink something and move something, but then that changes everything too, right?
Yeah.
So it's
It
not
changes the
really that simple.
composition. It's an
Yeah.
extra challenge that like I didn't have to think about before as a storyboard artist.
Mm,
So yeah, make room for your dialogue and don't put too much dialogue per panel.
mm.
You know.
Which we have. When did you actually start drawing itself? Just the art of drawing.
Oh, like drawing all together?
Yeah.
I mean, of course, we all draw since we're like toddlers, but I think I
Mm,
started seriously drawing maybe when I was like 11 or 12.
mm,
I would do like fan art of like my favorite video game characters and stuff, and then your friends start saying like, "Oh, that's pretty cool." So
mm.
I just started like making characters and all this, and
Yeah.
it just kind of went from there.
Do you think did anime or comics kind of inspire your drawing, or is it vice versa? You're drawing first and then got into comics, or?
um, yeah, I feel like it was kind of vice versa because I was really into like video games first, and
Mm,
then I started getting more into like graphic novels. Some anime, like I think a lot of people are surprised to find out that I actually don't watch a ton of anime because they
mm,
look at my style and they're like, "Oh, it looks
mm.
very like anime style."
Yeah, I
Um,
got that feeling too. I felt that there was I felt there was definitely anime style, but when I was looking at it, I didn't feel like you were a big anime fan actually.
mm,
Because I mean, having done this enough myself, and no, I didn't feel like it was what would you call the super stereotypical kind of anime,
mm,
which would normally have a lot more. Well, I don't know, just anime to it. Like
yeah. I mean, I always kind of veered more towards wanting to do like a more like semi-realistic style. So I
Mm,
guess that's why I didn't find myself emulating a lot of like Western cartoons. Except I guess you could say like, superhero cartoons are probably the most realistic you're gonna get over here.
yeah.
But like some of my favorite artists are like Satoshi Kon. I don't know if you've seen, but he's done like Paprika, Millennium Actress.
Paprika, I'm familiar with. Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
better
like
with knowing some titles than I am having actually seen them all. But
uh,
yeah, is Paprika a more realistic one or no?
yeah. Well, Satoshi Kon is the director of those films, and his style is the same through all those movies. But like, he's like one of my favorite artists.
Mm,
Unfortunately, he's passed away, but
mm,
he left us with some really great films. Also,
awesome.
another Japanese artist, Katsuya Terada. He's probably my other favorite artist. So that might be where some of the like anime influence comes from.
What I'm doing now is I'm just being realistic myself and saying I want to be as realistic as I possibly can and as like artsy and emotional and all that. But then I just bust out the pages really really fast because I want to get it done. And then I'll try and be as realistic as I can. I use some perspective and some lighting and some shading, and then I'm like, okay, I got to finish this. So I
Mhm.
just finish it, and it's like what you use style, some kind of cartoony style to fill in the cracks and just say it's done, right? Otherwise, you're gonna drive yourself mad. And you don't even use color, right? You're
No, I really would like to, but it is kind of like what you're saying. It's a matter of like, well, do I want to finish this? So
yeah.
I do. I mean, I have all the original files, like with all the separate layers for each page of the comic. So someday when I have the time, either I can or I can hire someone to color those pages.
Mm,
Because I'd really like for Centralia to be in color. It's
cool.
just a time and, effort restraint.
Yeah. What about finding someone to work with on it to do the coloring for you?
Yeah, well, I'm running a Patreon to support the comic,
Mm.
which I can give that link out later.
Mm.
And one of the goals is like if I can get a certain amount of support, then I'm going to put that money toward hiring a colorist.
Mm.
So that's
Yeah, that'll be up here on the
yeah.
screen right now. As a matter of fact, we're going to have her Patreon name and also plug it as much as we can. The name of the website is
For the Patreon,
no, just for the comic
for the
itself.
comic, it's Centralia.
Mm.
I should probably spell it. Centralia
Mm.
2050.com.
Yeah, and that'll be up on the screen while we're, it'll show on the screen while we're doing this, and we'll have links so it'll be clickable. You can go there right now. That's me speaking to the viewer. If you want to click on that, hopefully it opens in a different window and doesn't cut the video off. If it does, come back and make sure you finish watching the video. Okay, and then what about the the Patreon? For patreon.com/, we just need your username, I guess, or what
It's
is it?
Michelle Draws. So
Okay. Mm.
Michelladraws.
Okay. Great, and we'll put that up too with the link, a clickable link, so that you guys can go and they'll be seeing. We'll be looking at some of your art, and so I really encourage you guys to go ahead and support her work here because she's really taking her time to make a good product, and I certainly appreciate her work. That's why I'm doing this, and that's what you've done with your book, right?
Yeah, before I started posting the comic online, I made sure to completely finish the first chapter.
Mm.
And then I started posting, a new page every week. But
Mm.
I wanted to make sure I had that buffer and also just to make sure that there was a good stopping point for the comic, like a whole chapter.
Mm.
Like right now, the comic is on like a temporary break because like holidays and like all sorts of craziness. And then it's coming back on February 2nd, or no,
Mm.
February 1st. Um, but yeah, I wanted to make sure like it closes cleanly with like chapter one, so I'm not like
Mm.
leaving anyone hanging. Well, not leaving them hanging in a way I didn't intend. You
Mm.
know.
So you're still updating like a page at a time as you. I mean, right now at this point.
Right now, no.
Okay.
I'm working right now on doing chapter two, and then we'll resume posting weekly starting on February 1st.
Okay.
So
Yeah, I mean, I have to admit, I didn't. I still have some reading to do, because yeah, this all holidays right now. It is
yes,
what it's literally the 28th.
yeah, New Year's coming
Yeah,
up.
New Year's. Yeah, we're right between them, and
hmm
we just planned the interview, and then yeah, I have some catching up to do myself. So, but that's good. Chapter two. So you're going to start chapter two in February, is what you're saying?
Start posting it, yeah, but it's already
Posting.
like underway.
Oh, awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, the
That
script's all written and there's layouts done and everything.
Do you think this will be ongoing, the book, or does it have, beginning, finish, end? Is it like a trilogy, or?
It does. It's not a trilogy. It's just one story, but it does have it's not like a an ongoing story with no
Not a
foreseeable end.
serial kind of Spider-Man never-ending
Yeah,
thing.
yeah, that's what I'm like. It's not like serial. So yeah, like the whole story is planned out, and then I kind of go in and detail out each chapter, one piece by piece.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I already have like the roadmap.
Awesome. Yeah, good. I'm looking forward to seeing more. And so Michelle is a comic book artist working on Centralia, and we're going to finish off because we already it's getting kind of lengthy here. We'll talk a little bit more about the comic, and before we do that, I want to ask before we get more into the story, which we're not going to deep into, but what about technique? What is your overall technique that you use, and what do you recommend for? We're going to be showing a lot of Michelle's art in the first few pages while it's going on, so you can see she's she's what I consider to be very talented, very good eye for perspective, and she's very clean line work and all that stuff. I'm sure a lot of people appreciate it. What do you think, Michelle, for people who want to line up behind you and admire your style? What's a good
Oh
way to go
my.
about it?
Technique wise, I mean for Centralia, it's all done digitally in
Mm.
Photoshop. Um, I work really large,
Hmm.
so that's kind of how I keep it really clean is, work huge and then like shrink down.
Do you know what is
Done
the like when I do a comic page, it's including what they call the bleed.
the bleed.
It comes out to like it's about 3,000 by 4,500 pixels
Mm-hmm.
is what I do. Is that
Sounds
what you're
about
doing?
right.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, and usually I work at about I think first the chapter one I was doing like 600 DPI and then I would go down to 150 for printing.
600.
Um yeah, so
It's a
like really
killer.
big.
See, I try that once or twice. I think 300 first of all is good enough. I've done a lot of printing for
Mm.
business purposes. I've done a ton of design work and business cards and magazine style stuff, and they're always screaming at you, "Oh, you got to make it 600." And I'm like, I try at 300, and I have good eyesight. I don't see. Yeah, I don't think
Mm.
we're missing anything for the difference between a lot of printers can't even get that clear to go to 600, but it will slow your
Yeah.
computer down.
Yeah, I mean honestly 400 is probably good enough. I don't know.
Yeah.
Another thing, technique wise, is I didn't do this in chapter one, but moving forward, I am using Google SketchUp to help plot out my layouts.
Hmm.
Um,
How is that helpful?
it's really helpful because basically you can make models of environments.
Hmm.
So my Centralia
Oh,
takes
for like
place.
3D, for perspective and stuff like that.
Yeah, so Centralia takes place in a city with
Mm,
lots of people
mm.
and buildings and cars and it takes a long time to like plot out. It's not that I can't draw those things, but when
It
I was
takes a
working on
long time.
chapter one,
Mm,
it took hours just to like do a perspective drawing. So what's great about using SketchUp is that you can plot out
mm,
your perspective and like you can even download like from the 3D warehouse, you can download like models of people and buildings and cars and whatever
mm.
and kind of set it up like get the camera angle that you like and then screenshot that. And then what I do is I draw on top of that, not tracing, but just as kind of like a general reference. So I think that it's like a lifesaver for comic artists
Mm.
because you don't waste all that time like trying to like plot out perspective and stuff.
Oh yeah, I mean that's what it's there for. But does that include like? Because the problem for me with buildings and stuff is not just that you have to do the raw overall boxy shapes. Because most
Hmm.
cities are just skyscrapers. They always end up in pyramids, but all the windows and stuff like
Yeah,
that. That's what the pain is.
yeah, that can definitely be tedious.
Hmm.
I've kind of like developed quick ways of like laying out windows with
Hmm.
like brush strokes.
And there's a lot of creativity to it people don't appreciate. If you look at a modern like Marvel Spider-Man, especially Spider-Man because he's always like up in the air flying through the buildings and you notice all the architecture. I don't know, like, a lot of people they live in New York or they're sitting right there drawing from a skyscraper while they're drawing Spider-Man. So it's a lot easier. And I worked in Manhattan for a year or two, and as you're walking around, it's actually kind of mind-boggling because you have all these cathedral-like things. You have gargoyles. There's like rims and ledges to a lot of the
Yeah.
buildings, and they'll have like these things. I mean, well, it's just architecture. They're all like
Uh-huh.
each building's unique, right? So if you got to
Totally.
draw a realistic city scene, and God forbid you want somebody who actually lives in Manhattan to recognize what street it's on or something, you know what I mean? Like, yeah.
Yeah, like I kind of draw a lot of inspiration like looking around San Francisco because we have such like interesting buildings, especially like a lot of like Gothic kind of architecture
Mm,
or art. I think it's Art Deco. I don't know.
mm,
It's got a lot of cool kind of like Manhattan. It's got a lot of unique, buildings. So it's fun to study that from life.
mm.
So you're not just drawing like milk carton cities
Yeah,
everywhere. They're just
milk
like
cartons. That's
rectangles.
exactly what, like, that's how I start, basically. I'm like the king of milk carton cities.
And I think that's the thing a lot of people that's kind of one of my pet peeves honestly with a lot of comic creators
Mm,
is they overlook doing the backgrounds
mm.
because a lot of people are like, "Oh, I hate doing backgrounds. It's so boring." But really like if you, I
You
I
need a
call it like
background in every panel, every scene has to have a background.
yeah, I mean
Once you
once in a while
start
I
to
can
get
do like a
lazy on the back, unless it's an extremely expressive
it's
and
like a
emotional
close
scene.
up.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Hmm. But like I call it like I call it like comic purgatory when you just have these characters standing around in just like a white background. It's like, where
Mm.
are they?
Yeah.
So please, please, comic creators,
Yeah.
just look into doing environments and backgrounds. It'll make your comics like 10 times better.
Yeah, you need setting, setting and mood and stuff. A lot of it comes from the environment, and while you're drawing the environment, it helps you remind you that you are someplace, which will remind you of very important things like: is it windy? Is it raining?
Yeah.
Is this happening? Is there a frog jumping by? Could there be a turtle in my way while I'm walking down the path? All these little cute things come up, which actually make this more interesting and funny,
Yeah.
and it
All
might
plays into
add
the
to the
story.
details. Yeah. and so what I do is like, yeah, there's all that stuff involved, but then there's like a sketch phase, then there's a drawing phase, then there's a pretty much standard like comic. What they do is penciling, inking,
Right.
and then coloring, and then
Mhm.
however far you want to take it after that. You can even turn the finished inked and colored thing. You can push it further into a painterly kind of style if you want to,
Yeah.
right? What is your feeling on that? Are you traditional?
Yeah, so kind of the same like you described. For Centralia, I start out with the script, which that in itself takes a while to get to. But once I have a script that I like, I'll break it down into panels, which then I will thumbnail out. And I'll do like a bunch of thumbnails sometimes of like the same page over and over, just trying to figure out which works best.
Hmm. I'm
Um,
no good at that. You actually do it. I do it all on one page, and I'll just keep erasing and redoing it until I feel
uh,
like it's good. Or do you actually flesh out your thumbnails? I tell people to do
no,
that, but I don't do it myself.
I keep them pretty loose. When I'm thumbnailing, I do that traditionally, so I do that like in a sketchbook with pen.
Hmm.
And that I basically just block out, the panel layout and then also like the major shapes of each panel, like just enough so that I can be like, okay, well, this is a down shot of like this character, or this will be like a two shot of these two like talking, maybe it's like over the shoulder or
Hmm.
something. And then I will take that. Usually, I take those thumbnails and then do the digital, like like layouts, I guess I call them, which is when I. It's not even quite sketch level yet. It's just kind of like now I'm really tightening up the compositions in a bigger scale.
Hmm.
Um, and then I'll go in and do like the refined sketch and get it looking good enough to where I want to, take it to ink.
Hmm.
And then since right now it's in black and white, after ink, I just do the toning.
Hmm.
And then for chapter one, I did the dialogue afterwards, but moving forward, I realize it's just a lot easier to do the word balloons
Yeah, lettering.
before you start tightening up the drawings.
Yeah,
Like you said.
because it's nice. I mean, I've gotten good at it after. I mean, I'm talking about maybe a couple hundred pages of doing it. That I'll at least plot in my words so I can
Hmm.
make sure they fit where everything is. Then I can hide them. They're on a layer in a layer group. I can hide them, and I will draw the whole page
Yeah.
out. There used to be a day where I'd put in the word balloons, and I'd be lazy. I'd say, "Well, nobody's gonna see those part anyway, so I'll draw around them." But you
Yeah.
can't be like that. You gotta like remove the word balloons and finish drawing the whole pages. But yeah, like definitely get those letters in there first and make sure that, because you might even realize, oh wait, I should move these words over here, those over there, and the font should be bigger or smaller. I should
Uh-huh.
change something, and then that completely changes the space that you have for all the drawing, right?
Yeah, totally. Because I would just draw like a scribble word balloon, like, well, text is gonna go here and then some here. But then I would go in and actually type out the dialogue, but like, it doesn't fit in the space I thought
Yeah,
it would. So
never.
yeah, do
Yeah.
that first.
Mhm. Okay. Um, so that's good. Yeah, it's all about technique and stuff. And how about the story itself? We do have to keep plugging this. I'll put the name up on the screen again. On the screen again. Excuse me. It's called Centralia 2050. Centralia 2050. And what is Centralia 2050 exactly? What is if we were to have a brief description, what is the story? What is the comic about?
So Centralia 2050, we're following this girl named Midori who wakes up in this like technological metropolis called Centralia.
Mm-hmm.
And without any memories of her own, her only connection to this world is this kind of strange white-haired girl who she seems to have this like psychic connection with. So she goes in search of this girl through the city, but as she's searching for her, she kind of uncovers the darker side of the city.
Mm. That's where, yeah, you don't want to tell too much. That's where she starts to find some cool stuff, right?
Yeah, so it becomes a mystery of, you know, obviously in the first chapter we kind of learn how the city is different, and then we spend much of the story exploring like how it got to be that way.
Mm-hmm. She has like a boyfriend or something?
Well, she does meet up with her sidekick in the first chapter, Gray, who kind of becomes like her, basically like her companion. I wouldn't say boyfriend character, but he kind of gets roped into the mystery too, and they work together to sort of figure it out.
Okay. All right, cool. Yeah, and then now you described it as being dystopian. I might disagree with you on that. It may be in a psychologically dystopian kind of area, but for a lot of people, dystopian would be like post-apocalyptic would be dystopian kind of in a way. But this is not really post-apocalyptic at all, right? It's kind of clean. It's like a clean city with organized.
It's clean, but in a very inhuman way. So it's
Dystopian in a way of like what was that film? Kind of like was George Orwell novels or something like what was called the
like
1984. 1984.
Mm-hmm.
It's dystopian in a way like everybody's kind of like brainwashed, but it's not like dirty, like a grungy, gritty kind of scene.
Yeah, well, without giving away like too much about it, it's not. It's kind of more not that people are brainwashed, but it's kind of what happens when people stop caring.
Okay.
When people stop questioning.
Okay.
It's what kind of can happen to society.
The plot thickens. Okay, so we'll definitely have to read that one. It has, I see it kind of a moral to the story too, which it makes it more interesting. So yeah, that's an awesome teaser right there. I don't want to put any more, and we're going to be showing some of the art right here on the screen, Centralia, and we have a Patreon. Remember, after you guys go and read the book, now the pages that we have, chapter 1 is all freely available on the website, right?
Yes.
Right, and remember, you guys, after you go check that out, that she's going to need support to keep chapter 2 kind of up a little bit faster because, as you know, the artists are struggling these days. That's why they call us starving artists, and we all, we're just trying to get your money. Really, that's all we're here for. No, but really, in order to make
you're giving my plan away.
So definitely this video is not about me, it's all about Michelle, and I'd like you guys to go ahead and click the link, get out there at least check out her comic. That's for free and it's there for you anyway, and then please consider supporting her on Patreon. Also, if you guys out there have any ideas to help Michelle marketing, as we all know, it's hard to get out there in the social media even these days. That's turned into its own corporate empire. But yeah, you got to get on Facebook and the Twitter and this and that. If you guys have anything to help with the marketing for this, and definitely share it with your friends after you read it.
That's the best thing that I know not everyone can afford to buy their favorite artists' work or support them through Patreon or crowdfunding. But even if you can't do that, just sharing their work with other people on your social media is like a huge help, and it's free, and really it just takes like a retweet or a share or whatever. So that's a huge help to us.
So
yeah.
Okay, so yeah, that's about it for me. You all good?
Yeah.
Okay.
Got it.
If not, just let me know and we'll throw it in. So so say goodbye, Michelle, and I'll cut you off. Okay.
Bye.
All right, bye-bye. Let's stay online, though, because I'm going to chat with you for a bit. I just want to say goodbye to everyone. Okay. And I'll see you guys. If I don't wrap up here, I'm going to turn Michelle off and finish up with her. And if I don't have anything else to say, I'll see you guys in the next episode. Make sure you subscribe to my channel if you're not already. It's a sin not to be if you like it. And we all got to support each other. And see you guys real soon. Okay, take care. Bye-bye.